So today I'm going to show you how to make this cute little snowman ornament, and I'm going to show you two different ways. The first way I'm going to show you with my Cricut Maker. I'm going to be using craft foam and my knife blade. Then I'm going to show you how to use the Cricut Joy Xtra and to use cardstock with just the regular fine point blade. And because all of the Cricut machines can cut cardstock, this ornament obviously can be made with any of the other Cricut machines. But the knife blade is only available, I believe, with the Cricut Maker 3 and other Cricut Maker models. You can try to use the deep point blade with Cricut Explorer Air 3 and whatever other machines take the deep point blade. I'm really not sure off the top of my head, but if you have that, you can try it as well. I did try the deep point blade and I wasn't a fan. It just got really rugged edges, but whatever works for you, whatever works for your machine, I say go for it. Okay, so first we're going to go ahead and get started, and when you bring your SVG in, it's going to come in already sized to be 5 inches. That's the size that I want my ornament to be. If you want it smaller, you want it bigger, obviously you can do that. You can shrink this down, make them into cute little gift tags if you want to. But for this project, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at 5 inches. And you can look at your layers panel over here. I'm going to go ahead and ungroup this. And I'm going to show you how you can add a name to this and the year. And I'm going to show you, before we get going here, let's go ahead and add our text. So you click on your text button. And then I'm going to choose a font that I already have installed. So when you click on fonts, your system font is what you already have installed on your computer. So I'm going to click on that. And the font that I'm using is called Hollow Weekend. So type that in, and this is the font. Now I already have it bookmarked. If you have not used the bookmark feature with Cricut, with your fonts, this is an amazing feature that they have here. That's why it's green right here. But you can also just go to your bookmarks, and you can also go to recent ones that you've used before, and this will show you all the ones that you have bookmarked. Okay, so for this, I'm going to type in, let's go ahead and do, let's do Spencer. This is my son's name. Let's change this to white. Okay, and I'm going to duplicate this because I also want to do the year. Let's bring this in closer here so you guys can see a little bit better. Okay, so this, all I need to do is just shrink it down because I'm going to put it right here. So just size it to what looks good for you. And this name, I'm going to shrink that down as well. And I think I'm going to shrink my snowflakes down and put them on either side. You can just do one. You can put them on the hat if you want to, wherever you want to put them. Well, let's see how this looks. And then I'm going to bring his name here. I'm going to come up to my curve tool, and then I'm just going to curve this. And the ones that I did prior, I did about 25, I think it was. Somewhere between 25 and 30, but you can mess with this however it looks good to you. There's no rule on it, just whatever you like. Make it a little bit bigger so it's centered a little more. Yeah, I think that looks good right there. And let's go ahead and just go do another snowflake here, and I'll put it on the other side, just so it's a little more centered. So I'm going to take that name and the year, come up here to align and center horizontally. Okay, and then I'm just going to arrow that over so that it looks a little bit better to me. And I think that looks good right there. So the white part of the year and his name and the snowflakes, that's going to be cut out of vinyl. So my little snowman face down here, you can see it on the layers panel. I'm going to turn that just to a light gray so that I know that I'm going to be cutting that out of foam, just so it's easier when we get to the mats when it comes to the cutting part. So I'm going to grab my snowflake, hit my shift button, grab my name, my other snowflake, and the year, and I'm going to come down here and hit attach. So that way I know that that's all going to cut together. Now it's not really necessary to attach the top year right here if you don't want to. I'm actually probably going to cut it apart. It just makes it easier when you're moving or when you're cutting out your vinyl so that it's all together. But that's total personal preference, however you want to work it. But I am going to cut mine so that it's attached. So now if you come through, you can see that the hat, little topper, and the little brim right here, that is only grouped right now. If you want that attached, you can, and I'll show you what I mean by that. When we go to make this right now, this is not attached. It was only grouped. So it's going to cut in 2 different pieces, which isn't a big deal. You can leave it that way if you want to. But if you want to make it so that it is attached, so it cuts in one piece, all you would do, just like I just did for the names, you would just go ahead and hit your attach button. But I'm going to leave mine separate. But really, that's all you need to do for this one. So this back piece right here, this is going to be cut from foam. This is going to be cut from foam. This is foam. These two right here are foam. This is vinyl. And then this is all foam right here. I think I'm going to change my colors. Just remember, whatever is on your screen is just a visual. It's whatever color your project is going to be is the vinyl or the foam that you put down on your mat. So this is really just a visual purpose right here, just for this. So I think for mine, I'm going to do this in a light blue, and we'll do this in a darker blue. Okay, so that is the first step for getting your ornament ready for doing with foam. So since you have this already, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and save this because I don't want to lose anything. Snowman blue, I'm going to type in just so I can remember. Okay, and you want to make sure that you have the correct machine selected, whatever machine you're going to be using, and I'm going to be using my Cricut Maker. So that is selected. Click Make It. Okay, now what I'm going to do, if you remember, I changed this to gray so that I can remember that this is going to be my snowman's face, and this right here is vinyl. But I'm going to move some of my pieces all to one mat. And one thing you need to remember when you are cutting craft foam, the wheels, the little spokes that are on your bar for your Cricut, we'll have to move those all the way to the right, because if you leave them where they are, when you run your mat through, you're going to leave score marks, little wheel marks on top of your foam, and you don't want that. So I'm going to move some of these around so I can cut them on one mat. And what I need to do is remember, as I move these, where they land. So I don't want to have anything past the 10 right here. So I'm going to line up my foam, and I need to make sure that I remember to cut my pieces down. So like this one, I could cut 5 by 4 and that would fit in. And then what I need to remember that this is going to be orange. So I need to cut that and mark that on my mat. And this one I'm going to move all the way down here. Move object, I'm going to put here. But I will go through and move my different elements so that I can get the most on one mat that I can. It just saves time when you come to cutting. So I'm going to go ahead and go through and do all that. Okay, so that has all my pieces right here. And like I said, I just need to remember where I'm going to put this on my mat. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to move the black to my white mat, because that is both going to be cut out of adhesive vinyl. So I just need to go ahead and get that lined up and make sure that this is a black piece and this is a white piece. But first thing we're going to do, let me make sure and go through that make sure I got all of my pieces. Okay, so we're going to cut the foam first, and I have it lined up where I want to have it. I hit continue, and because I am using the knife blade, I need to make sure that I change that on this next screen here. So I'm going to be using craft foam. I already have it bookmarked. If you don't have this up here, you can just go to Browse All Materials and type in craft foam. Okay, and this is what I'm using right here. Done. Okay, so now this is going to come up showing you to use the deep point blade. And like I said, I'm going to use a knife blade, so I need to click Edit, click on my knife blade, and click Apply. So we're going to get it all loaded up, stuck in our mat, and then I'll show you how to cut that and get it all put together. Okay, so like I showed you in Design Space, I went ahead and lined up all my craft foam to where it needs to be. You can use a strong grip mat, you could use a standard grip mat. I'm just using a light grip mat because this is one of my newer mats and it's pretty sticky. And if you can't get your craft foam to stick, you might need to use some blue painter's tape to help it to adhere better to your mat. And I'm going to go ahead and use my brayer so that it sticks down. And I'm going to put in the knife blade. So right here is the housing. Move this closer so you guys can see this a little better. You need to take out your fine point blade, take the whole part out, and then stick in your knife blade. And lock that in. Okay, and our button is already blinking, so I'm just going to go ahead and put this in. But before I do that, these little wheels right here need to be moved all the way to the right hand side, because you don't want it to put indents in your foam. Okay, push that in, and we'll go ahead and load it and get our foam cut. Okay, before you unload your mat, I'm going to go ahead and lift this up to make sure that it actually cut all the way through. And it did. If it did not cut all the way through, you would want to do another pass, but don't unload it. You would just go ahead and click the button so you could cut it again. You would click the C button. So we're going to go ahead and unload this because it did cut through. Push this back. And then I'm going to go ahead and just pull this off of here because I'm going to leave this foam on this mat. All right, now I'm going to get my mat ready so we can cut our adhesive vinyl. Okay, so the foam has already cut. Now we're going to come over here. We are going to be cutting this vinyl right here. So I want to make sure, I want to change my material. So I'm just going to be using the premium vinyl setting, and you can do that, find that the same way as you did the craft foam. Just go to Browse All Materials and type that in. But this is what I'm using. I'm using my pressure the same, and we're going to go ahead and get this cut, and we are going to have to take the knife blade out and put our fine point blade back in. So we're going to go ahead and get that cut, and then we'll get them all put together. Okay, so just like with our craft foam, how we moved everything around, I did the same thing with this. So I just need to make sure I use my brayer to push this down. And before we cut, we need to change our blade out again. So take this knife blade out, set that aside, and put our fine point blade back in. Okay. And you can move your wheels back over if you want to, but I'm just going to leave them where they are. Unload this, and I'm just going to go ahead and push this out of the way because I am done with it. Turn this over to remove our vinyl. Okay, and I'm going to just go ahead and weed this. Okay, so here's the craft foam, and I'm going to be using contact paper to transfer the vinyl to the pieces. And the reason that I do that is transfer tape seems to pull up too tight or too hard, and it's kind of hard to get the vinyl to release from the transfer tape onto the foam. So I found it easier to use contact paper, so that's what I'm going to be doing. We're going to go ahead and get this assembled. I like to keep it on my mat because it's kind of like, it has like static, so when you move it, it likes to blow all over the place. So, go ahead and get this lined up. I'm not going to glue it just yet. The glue I'm going to be using is Aleene's Felt and Foam Tacky Glue. This stuff works really well. It does take about 24 hours for it to dry. I just let it dry overnight and it works really well. But I do like to keep it laying sideways because if you keep it up, you're going to be shaking it for a long time to get it to come down. So I just leave it sideways like this. Okay. So I'm just going to get stuff lined up to see how it looks, and then we'll go ahead and assemble everything. All right. And I like that it doesn't dry instantly, so that way you can move it around if you need to. I'm going to transfer the name on here. Now because it is contact paper, sometimes it takes a little more oomph to get it to release from the backing from the vinyl, but you'll get there. down here. Just go slow. I like to kind of fold it in half and roll it rather than pulling it up all the way so that I don't lose any pieces. You can use your tool to help release it if you want. I'm going to do the same thing with the hat here. Now for his nose, I'm just going to go ahead and use that contact paper to pick up the face. Sometimes it helps if you turn it over and like push down to get the vinyl to release. And I'm just going to cut this down smaller. Easier to handle that way. And then I like to keep a picture of my project in front of me on my phone or print it out. So I'm actually going to bring up a picture of my project so I know what it's supposed to look like. I'll set it right in front of me so that I can keep it on my screen so I know how to line up my nose and my eyes. Again, I'm going to put this over here because this likes to like jump. It's got like static on it. So I'm just going to line this up, and I know that I want my, you guys can see this here, I should move up a little bit. I want my nose, it's going to be tilted a little here. So careful, don't touch your vinyl to your mat because it'll stick. I'm just picking up my nose is all I'm doing. Actually, let me do it this way. I don't want my vinyl to hit my mat because it will come up. Just push it down on there and then help it to release. And then I'm going to put a dot of glue on here. And then you can just push it down. Okay, and then put your backing down, and then we're going to glue the whole thing down. and let that one dry. And now you have the first one done. Now I'm going to show you how to make the same ornament using cardstock with the Cricut Joy Xtra. Okay, so the first project is done with our maker and the foam. So now I'm going to go ahead and do cardstock with the Cricut Joy Xtra. So I'm just going to go ahead and move all this over and then group it and hide it. And then come down and grab the same file and move this to the side, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to personalize this one, but I'm going to do this one a little bit different. Instead of using the green and red that you see here, I'm going to be using cardstock, obviously, and you can use, like I said before, whatever colors you have. I'm going to do a green on green, but that doesn't really matter for this. But I am going to add in some text, and instead of the year this time, I'm just going to put a name at the top, and I'm going to write, I think I'm going to do Happy Holidays down here. So let's get that ready first. I'm going to do cap locks, same font we had before. Shrink that down and make it white. And then I want to curve it. I'm going to try that 25 again and see how it looks. Ungroup this so I can move this little snowflake out of here. Yep, I think I like that. Okay, so now let's do text again, and I'm going to do a name. This time we're going to do L. Shrink that down, and I'm going to put that up here. So instead of doing a year, I'm actually just going to do the name. Like I said before, make it as big or small as you want. And I think I'm going to leave the snowflake off for this one. Okay, so this one, shift button, second one, and let's go ahead and align that. Okay, I think that looks good. So for this one, we're going to do cardstock for everything except for the eyes and the name and the wording right here. That's going to be vinyl, but everything else is going to be cardstock. So first thing I need to do is I need to make sure that I have the right machine. So I'm going to do my Joy Xtra. Okay, if I click on Make It, I'm going to use a mat. And keep in mind that the Joy Xtra mats are much smaller than obviously the regular Cricut machine mats. They have their own mat, so this is separate from if you have the regular Joy. This is separate. This is a different mat. So like before, I'm going to move things around. So I'm going to move, this is the white of the snowman. I'm going to move it to here. This is going to be cardstock. And again, I just need to remember where it is so that I can set it up on my mat correctly. Okay, I'm going to see if I can get those all cut into the squares that they need. So I'll cut this down, you know, like this could be like a 2x2. This one here could be, most of them are usually about 4x4. They'll fit for the design that I have, but you can just cut it down to whatever size that you need. Like I said, just keep in mind, put it in the right areas before you cut it. All right, so let's go ahead and hit continue. Make sure you're on the correct mat. So if this is going to be your vinyl mat, and this is going to be your cardstock mat. So you need to make sure whichever one you're on, when you hit continue, that's what's going to cut. So see this right here, this is the one that's going to be cutting. So that's what I need to make sure that it's on. I'm going to be using the light cardstock setting. Again, you can do it by browsing all materials like we did before. So I'm going to go ahead and get all my stuff set up and then get it loaded and get it cut. Okay, so now we have the Joy Xtra. I went ahead and got my cardstock on my mat. I did have to rearrange it a little bit versus what you saw on the screen, but I'll have to do another mat for my other piece, but this is what we have so far. And again, just like before, I'm going to use my brayer to help it adhere to my mat better. Okay, open this up, and then I'm going to stick this in here. And unlike the other machines, there is no go button on here, so I have to go over to my computer and hit the go button to get it to cut. And make sure you have enough distance in the back so it doesn't hit anything. Pull this out. And you want to turn your mat over and pull your pieces off so they don't curl. All right, now the cardstock is cut, so we're going to do our vinyl. We need to make sure that we are going to click on this because we need to change our material. Click on edit. Let's make sure we got the right one here. And I'm going to click on vinyl. And I thought I had it bookmarked, but I guess I don't. So we're going to be using premium vinyl. Let's just go ahead and pick one here. Let's just do this one. You can go ahead and bookmark it. Done. Okay, and we're going to be cutting this. And again, I have to make sure that we line up the vinyl where it goes. We'll get that cut, and then I'll show you how to put it all together. Flip this over to get our vinyl off. All right, for this ornament, we're going to be using this tacky glue, and I'm going to be using some foam dots. Go ahead and get this assembled. I'm going to be using foam dots. You can see this one that I made already. I used dots for this little piece up here and for the brim and for his nose. I thought these would be really cute as a little gift tag, and then they have an ornament left over. You could use it, write something on the back if you wanted to. So let's go ahead and get this name on here. I'm going to use my contact paper again. Okay, so this we're going to stick on here. Okay. I'm going to put, if I can find my dots here, put some foam dots on the back of this nose here. Now, I'm going to get my nose on here. There's that one. And some more foam dots for the hat part. And then put your little brim on. And there you go. And for these ornaments you can use butcher's twine. That's what I did with this one. Or we have these little hangers right here you can use. But whatever you have hanging around. Got different ornaments. And for the twine, I just cut a piece off. Run it through that hole. There you go. Then you can tie that on a package or wherever you want to tie it. But that's it, guys. Hope you guys like this project. If you do, let me know in the comments if you have any questions. You know I love seeing your guys' projects, so if you make it, please show it off in the Facebook group. You can find this in the freebie library. It is design number 178. The free SVG is there, and along with the link to where you can find the font. It is free at the time of this recording. I found it on Creative Fabrica. But that's it, guys. Have a great day. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here.